Now let me get to my man Paul George for the Los Angeles Clippers of the NBA. He'll be one of the most coveted free agents in this year's free agent market if he declines his $48.8 million player option. He's been linked to the 76ers and, of course, my New York Knicks, among other teams, in addition to a possible return to the Los Angeles Clippers. PG-13 is what they called him, and he turned some heads with comments about what he is prioritizing and he takes the next step in his career. This is from Podcast P with Paul George, presented by Wave Sports and Entertainment. Take a look.
At this point, I'm not even necessarily, like, it's not even about, like, you know, people saying chasing a championship. Like, it's not that. But it's playing the right style of basketball is what I'm chasing.
Paul George, that was not the wisest comment in the world, my brother. You should be chasing the championship. You've been in the league long enough. You don't have a ring. You don't have an appearance in the NBA Finals. And we all know how gifted you are. You should have been. You should have. Hell with that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you to do it at the expense of your money. But damn, you've been playing the right way. Where that got y'all? Hell with that. Chase that ring. Chase that championship. Paul George is a championship quality player. Get it, bro. Hell with that. I mean, you're damn near sounding like Larry Brown. I just want to play the right way. I want you to play the right way. No. Of course playing the right way matters. We all know that. But damn that, chase the chip. You got the paper, chase the chip. Basically, that's all I'm trying to say. Teams vying for Paul George services, whether or not they should be discouraged by this, no, you shouldn't. The brother's class personified. He's a professional who's going to show up and he's going to produce. But the bottom line is, we don't need all that. We don't need all of that at all. So that's one subject involving Paul George. Here's the other. We know George has an eye on joining the media after he retires, not only with his podcast, but also evidenced by the fact he joined me and my ESPN colleagues as an analyst during the NBA Finals on NBA Countdown. During that stint, he apparently had a bigger issue than I thought with me after I made this comment. Listen up.
Nobody on the planet knows what it's like to play without a starter at Paul George. I'll leave it at that.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
This is what he does.
Don't do that.
This is what nobody knows.
You know what? Much more of this coming up on NBA Countdown. Kevin Nagandi, we need a break. Please take it away.
Nah, he saw us all there sitting there laughing, having a good time, and he seemed to brush it off as you've seen on that clip. But apparently I struck a nerve with him. He spoke more about that moment in another clip from Podcast P, an episode we just saw. Take a look at this for me, please.
Stephen A. had great advice. Michael Wilbon had great advice. Kendrick Perkins had great advice.
I like the response.
Everybody was blowing it up
to Stephen A. Don't do that. Hey, don't do
that. I didn't like that moment just because of, like, he's like, and I rock with Stephen A. obviously, but just like, let it go. You know what I mean? Just let it go.
Let some shit go.
And it's not that he, like, Kawhi wants to play. Like, I will keep beating that over the head until I'm, like, you know, out of breath. He wants to play. Like, he keeps, like, making it something that Kawhi doesn't want to play or he doesn't want to be there. Like, it just, you know, I think we rode Kawhi a lot this year to where it kind of got to the point of, like, hey, like, there's only so much my body can take right now. Like, we exhausted a lot out of Kawhi this season, and so I just think at some point your body breaks you down, and that's just, I think, the case there. But yeah, I didn't appreciate that moment. I know I laughed because it was, you know,
what else are you supposed to do?
Just because of the situation, it was lighthearted, but, you know, deep down it was just like, man, you gotta let that go, Stephen A.
When you're right, you're right. Paul George is right. You know, here's where it really hits home. I put him in a bad spot. That's Kawhi Leonard's teammate. And it was the furthest thing from my mind. What happened is that ESPN had alerted us to the fact that if Kawhi Leonard is not healthy enough and available for Olympic competition this summer in Paris, that a likely replacement for Kawhi Leonard would be Derek White of the Boston Celtics. And so they were talking about that. And I was like, well, congratulations to Derek White, because we all know that Kawhi Leonard's going to be hurt. and he gonna be available. You know what I'm saying? And that was basically the lightheartedness that it was coming from. Where Paul George is absolutely right, and I do owe him an apology for that as a professional, that's Kawhi Leonard's teammate. And it was the furthest thing from my mind thinking about how Paul would look on the set with us, because I'm just busy being lighthearted and having a good time while we talk about the NBA Finals. You saw everybody laughing and stuff like that. You know, I'm not thinking about how Kawhi could be looking at it towards Paul George. It was the furthest thing from my mind. So when I saw that clip with Paul George saying what he said, I said, damn, I ain't think about that. He got a good point, because Paul George loves Kawhi Leonard. He loves his teammate. He always speaks highly of him, got nothing but love and respect for him, the whole bit. And I should not have put Paul George in that position. So Paul George is absolutely right. And anybody that thinks that I took issue or I take issue with anything that Paul George said there, they are wrong. They don't know me. It's not true. Paul George is right. My bad, bro. I should have been more thoughtful. I really should. Having said that, if Paul George wasn't there, I would not have given a shit. I meant every word I said. Although it was tongue-in-cheek and playful, I meant that shit. I'm not, and for clarification purposes, so Paul George and Podcast P will understand this, him and the Screw Boys, who I like, by the way. Let's be very clear. I'm never questioning the legitimacy of Kawhi Leonard's injuries. I know the injury is real. I know he wishes he could play more. I know he's not faking it. I would never accuse a professional athlete, any athlete, of such an egregious thing. What I'm saying is he always makes sure to get his damn money, though. And he always makes sure to get the perks that he clamors for. You got to remember, he held the Clippers hostage to get Paul George. Don't let me pick up the stats and remind you, or the numbers, or the information, and remind you of what the Clippers gave up to the Oklahoma City Thunder in order to acquire Paul George. It was Kawhi Leonard that sat up there and blackmailed the Los Angeles Clippers by saying, I'm going to the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron and AD if y'all don't get Paul George up in here. And Steve Ballmer and the Clippers couldn't let Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis be in the purple and gold for the Los Angeles Lakers. It wouldn't have been fair. So that's what they did. That's what they did. And they gave up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Remember that? Remember that? So I'm telling you, you make sure to do all of that, to get your dollars, to get your paper, to get every perk you can get. But you're never available for when it really, really counts. I believe that Paul George with Kawhi Leonard have a legitimate shot to win the championship. I don't think Dallas beats the Clippers if Kawhi Leonard plays in that series. I don't believe that the Clippers could not beat Oklahoma City or could not beat Minnesota if Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are on the court together. Kawhi Leonard is almost never available when it counts. He's missed 46% of his regular season games, 60% of his playoff games. Come on now. I ain't making this up. So I stand by what I said now. I just shouldn't have done it with Paul George sitting there, because that put him in a bad spot. So for that, Paul George is right, and I apologize. I rock with Paul George. I rock with PG. And Draymond and I haven't spoken or whatever. Dog, you don't ever have to speak to me again, Dre. I love you, bro. I'm going to rock with you always. So we good. But when you wrong, you got to be man enough to acknowledge that you was wrong. I didn't do it intentionally, and I didn't think about Paul George being on that set and how we laughing, how Kawhi could have looked at it as him laughing at Kawhi. No, Kawhi, he was not doing that. It was that I was kind of funny at the moment, and they were all laughing, and we were on TV, and we were doing a television show. But I didn't give much thought to it, and I should have, because I'm the pro, and I should have thought more about putting Paul George in that position. That's my bad. But I meant that shit I said about Kawhi Leonard. I still mean that shit. And I'm going to continue to mean it until the brother is available to play in the playoffs. I'm at a point right now, Paul George, I don't give a damn if Kawhi Leonard plays 20 games during the regular season if it means he'll be healthy come playoff time. I'm not desperate. I'm not desperate to see him in the playoffs. I really want to see him there. Dropping 38 one game, walking off the court looking perfectly healthy, and then the next day he ain't available for the rest of the playoffs. This is what we've seen. That's where I stand with it, bro. But I won't make that mistake again with you on the set. My bad.